Now, all things considered, I had a pretty decent game week in Game Week 1, and here is my team selection going into Game Week 2. So starting off then with my goalkeeper and defenders. In goal, I'm actually starting with Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. Having a quick look at the clean sheet odds for Game Week 2 according to DraftHound, Nottingham Forest are actually ahead of Man United for those clean sheet odds, and to be honest, I agree with them. I looked at Sheffield United this weekend and they looked pretty diabolical, to be honest. They didn't really offer anything going forward. They even played someone like Chris Basham in midfield. So I really wasn't sure what was going on with Sheffield United. Onana, he's my other goalkeeper. He's got Tottenham away, and I feel like that's going to be a game where Man United can see. Tottenham look ridiculously attacking, in my opinion, and I feel like they're going to score against Man United. So I'm going for Turner in goal, expecting him to get some more points than Onana. Estupinian, he had a fantastic performance against Luton. His position was adopting was ridiculously advanced. Yeah, I just really like the thought of Estupinian going forward. He's probably going to stay in my team even through the difficult fixtures. I feel like Wolves, they did play well against Man United, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I feel like Brighton are going to turn them over this weekend, and I've got a feeling as well, if he plays as advanced as he did last weekend, Estupinian is going to do a good job against them. Chilwell, he was equally, if not more advanced than Estupinian was. For the goal that he scored that was offside, he was basically playing centre forward for Chelsea at that time. The only thing I would say to slightly detract from that, they were playing Liverpool, who are known obviously to leave their right-hand side quite exposed with Trent bombing forward. So maybe that was something Pochettino was looking to exploit through Chilwell. So he could be a bit deeper in upcoming games, particularly against West Ham, who like to counter-attack with their wingers, like Bowen on the right-hand side, for example. So we could potentially see a little drop-off in terms of Chilwell's advancement in attack, if that's the correct word to use, but I still feel like he's a really good option. Gabriel, I felt really unlucky that he didn't play at the weekend. From my perspective, that was a tactical decision based on how Nottingham Forest set up, and with the injury to Jurrien Timber, I'm at least hopeful. Obviously, it's unfortunate for Timber to get the injury. I'm at least hopeful that Gabriel will start against Crystal Palace. Yeah, if he doesn't start for Crystal Palace, I think then you've got to consider transferring him out. I've seen some players being really rash in getting rid of him already. I'm not quite sure it's that situation yet, but if he doesn't start against Crystal Palace, then I do think he's worth a transfer out. But as it stands, that's my defence. Now, onto my midfield, I'm really happy with Saka and Martinelli. They look fantastic and really dangerous against Nottingham Forest. Crystal Palace, Fulham, and then Man United at home are their remaining fixtures of that three. I think they could do well in each of those fixtures, so I'm very happy to keep hold of them. Rashford, you could argue he was a little bit disappointing against Wolves, but I think mainly that was down to the fact that Man United were disappointing as a whole, really. Didn't really get him the ball in dangerous positions enough. I'm still confident that they can kick on and do all right, and certainly Rashford can. And Bumo looked really dangerous against Tottenham. He had two chances that I thought he could have easily scored from an open play, and obviously got the penalty and scored that one. Bruno, a little bit disappointed by him, I won't lie. His stats weren't quite as good as I was expecting them to be against Wolves, and the average position that he adopted was a little bit deeper than it was last season. He basically played in line with Mason Mount as the two centre midfielders. That's not quite where I thought Bruno would play, and potentially they even shift things tactically, play Mount a bit deeper in the next game and play Bruno a bit more advanced, because in my opinion, as a Man United fan, I feel like Bruno Fernandes is, a number 10, and he needs to be played in a more advanced position than he was last weekend to be as most effective as possible. So I'm happy with my midfield so far, but I do think there's one transfer that I could potentially make either this week or in upcoming weeks. That transfer I was talking about was James Maddison. Now, he's $1 million less than Bruno Fernandes. So if, for example, Gabriel, who there aren't really many options around $5 million to replace Gabriel with, James Maddison could save me a bit of cash for Bruno to allow me to upgrade Gabriel to maybe Reece James if I can trust that Reece James is going to stay fit. Just an idea. I'm not going to base it all off of one game though. I'm going to give Bruno a bit of a chance. There's a reason I picked him over Maddison, and that's purely because he's a safer starter and he's got a much better injury record. But yeah, Maddison looked fantastic. Obviously got 2 assists in that Spurs debut against Brentford and was a really important part of that attack. They really tried to find the ball. Well, they tried to give him the ball as much as possible, basically. Basuma made over 100 passes in that game. Most of them were looking for Maddison. He had a fantastic season last season as well, don't forget. It's not just the game week 1 where he got 2 assists. Last season, he was fantastic for Leicester. 10 goals, 9 assists in 30 games for a team that got relegated. Then his upcoming fixtures are really good as well. Man United at home, Yes, I know Man United on paper are quite difficult, but away from home, they're not quite as good. Well, certainly last season, not quite as good defensively as they are at home. Obviously, kept the clean sheet against Wolves. Bit controversial, that one. And last season, obviously, kept the Golden Glove. But most of those clean sheets came at home. Bournemouth away, Burnley away, Sheffield United at home. Those are some fantastic fixtures. And I'd actually back them to score against Arsenal as well. So I really like the look of James Maddison. But for the time being, I don't think I can quite justify taking out Bruno. Right, and here's my team as a whole. So Haaland is set as my captain. I've got Watkins alongside him. Very happy with the two of those. I'm not making any changes in terms of transfers to this team this week. I'm very happy to sit on it, roll any transfers, and then use 2 potentially next week to potentially get rid of Bruno if he doesn't look to be playing too well. Although he's got Forest in game week 3, so that's a really good fixture to have him for. Gabriel might be victim of a transfer if he doesn't play against Crystal Palace, but for the time being, I'm going to be patient and stick with him. 60.3 expected points. I'll take that for game week 2. These stats, of course, are according to my friends at DraftHound. You can find them in the link in the description below. As for my bench, it doesn't really matter how I order them, really. I put Bulldog ahead of Aduji just because I feel like the clean sheet for Sheffield United against Forest is more likely than Spurs to keep one against Man United. But yeah, that's my team. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Alright, and that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like rating and subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there if you want to see more videos. And I'll catch you in the next one.